So we are back on the second session after the exciting previous session. So without taking a longer delay, I would like to give the entire floor to our amazing moderator maybe for the session, Carl. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Namaste and good evening. Welcome to the final session of the first PPST camp. You all know me by now. I'm Carl Rogers. I'm the Cultural Affairs Officer at the U.S. Embassy in Kathmandu. As part of my job, I help design and implement education and cultural programs. I promote U.S. higher education. I also manage the embassy's exchange programs. Plus, I oversee the 9 American spaces that are throughout Nepal. So I just want to give a quick plug while I have your attention. And just if you haven't checked out the American Corner in Pokhara, which is in Gandaki province, please do. I'll make sure that the website is located in the chat box and you can get access to that. It's a really great resource for community building, which I know that you all are interested in. But the real reason that I'm here today is that I will be moderating the discussion on youth and entrepreneurship. And I am really thrilled to be joined by Aayushi and Niraj, who are 2 Nepali youth who are also experts on entrepreneurship. Now, the purpose of this session is to just really, frankly, allow you to connect to real-life entrepreneurs. Because entrepreneurs are the backbone of a country, especially countries like Nepal, where small to mid-sized businesses are the foundation of an economy. Plus, most successful entrepreneurs begin their work when they're in their youth. And as I've said before to you, human capital, or the nation's youth, truly is the sort of engine of a country and the engine for a nation's future. A thriving entrepreneurial landscape only helps a country establish its economic stability and its prosperity. Plus, it gives people a real sense of hope and possibility. Nepal, especially during COVID, is facing a huge unemployment crisis, which could very well turn into other challenges. Historians and political scientists have time and again noted that when unemployment reigns, so does social and political instability. Now, according to statistics by the Nepal Rashtra Bank, every year about 400,000 Nepali youth enter into the labor market. But the Nepali labor market only has capacity for about 10% of those youth. So where do the remaining 90% go, you ask? Well, they either are unemployed or they go abroad. Current trends suggest that a large share of Nepali youth go to other countries in order to work. If you look at remittances, it's about 25% of Nepal's GDP. And this reliance on outside economies is necessary for the short term, but it does have devastating impacts in the long term, particularly on communities and families and Nepali workers. However, this is where we're moving into entrepreneurship. If Nepal and Nepali citizens focus on building their own enterprises, it would bring self-reliance and sustainability to the country. So in short, it has never been more important that a culture of entrepreneurship in Nepal exists. So it is my pleasure to discuss entrepreneurship culture in Nepal and the challenges and the opportunities that Nepal youth face when starting and running an enterprise. As I said, I'm really excited to be joined by 2 renowned entrepreneurs and youth leaders, Mr. Niraj Khanal and Ms. Aayushi KC. Now, before I introduce them, I do want to just give one quick housekeeping note. I would ask everyone to remain on mute unless you are speaking. And I'm going to ask a few of the first questions, and then we will open the floor for all of you. So Durba and Sujan have both volunteered to sort of compile those questions for me. So please feel free to type them in the chat box as they come to you. There's no need for you to wait and type them later. So without further ado, let's welcome our guests today. First is Aayushi KC, who is the founder and CEO of Khalisisi Management Private Limited. It's a waste management platform that connects waste workers to waste sellers. Aayushi raises public awareness on recycling in Nepal and ultimately hopes to create a waste management industry in the country. The 300 plus waste entrepreneurs involved with Khalisisi have been able to increase their wage earnings by 35%. And the organization has cultivated a space of respect for workers in the industry. Khalisisi has been recognized by Google as a Google Business Story in 2017 and a Stevie Awards International Startup of the Year in 2019. Aayushi was named a Forbes 30 Under 30 honoree in 2018 and Asia 21 Young Leader in 2019, and she describes herself as a rebel for a good cause. So welcome to Aayushi.
Thank you, Carl. Very nice of you.
My pleasure. Our other guest today is Niraj Khanal. He is an investor and a mentor. He is the co-founder and CEO of Antarprerana, a private company that supports entrepreneurs of Nepal through investment, international linkages, and its business incubation program. Niraj assists Nepali companies obtain foreign direct investment. He is also a representative for PUM in Netherlands. And through this organization, he's been helping Nepali companies get support from Dutch senior experts. He's already connected more than 50 entrepreneurs to subject matter expertise from foreign markets. Niraj has been awarded Kathmandu University's 2018 Outstanding Alumni of the Year Award for his contributions to entrepreneurship and the development sector. So let us all welcome Niraj.
Thank you so much, Carl. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. So I'm going to start with you, Aayushi, and I'm just going to ask you a general question, which is, I hope that you can give us sort of a general sense of your work as an entrepreneur and why it was starting your own business was important to you.
Carl, I think I lost you there for a second. Could you repeat the question, please?
Of course. So my question is, can you give us a sense of your work as an entrepreneur and why starting your own business was important to you?
My experience as an entrepreneur so far has been very, I don't know, how do I put it in words? It's refreshing every day, because every day it's a new day in terms of the challenges and opportunities that are that come before you as an entrepreneur who's trying to solve a problem that has existed for so many years, but the solution is so new that you don't have any precedent to follow, or any blueprint that you can work on. So the challenges are always new. Why I decided to start my own startup was, I think, this need to get deeper into this problem of waste management and to create a larger impact, because there are so many other people and organizations that have been working on this topic for a very long time. But I thought something around, taking this group of waste entrepreneurs that we work with, we call them Khalisisi friends, who've been in this industry for more than 50 years. And how do we actually tackle digital divide, this challenge of digital divide while working with these traditional waste entrepreneurs was my basic interest. So that's how I got into starting something very different from what had already existed.
Awesome. I'm going to move to you now, Niraj, and I'm going to ask the same question. Why entrepreneurship? Why starting your own business? And what is your sense of yourself as an entrepreneur?
So thank you so much, Carl, once again, and the organizer for having me here. It's a wonderful platform to be here, and it's great to join Aayushi here and as a co-panelist. So for me, when I was in my early 20s, probably in 1920s, there was a mouse insurgency here in Nepal, and so it was really very difficult to get a job, and so mobility was really very difficult. And we during that undergraduation time, we need to find our own space rather than seeking jobs or asking for jobs or anything like that. So by that time, I started my in the environment sectors and youth. By that time, I've learned so many issues about the youth of Nepal, and then I realized in 2004, I've started I've started my own organization named Yatra, and I I work so closely with the young generation. I was by myself. I was youth, and we started youth movement here in Nepal in 2004. We did a first International Youth Day. We established Association of Youth Organization of Nepal, ION. I was the founder. My organization was the founding organization of this that network, and that's how I got to know about the youth challenge and issues. Traveled to more than 50 plus districts of Nepal. Tens of international countries, international arenas, platforms, and then I started my own NGO. Later on, I failed a lot. Then doing partnership with all my friends, best friends, I made big mistakes. And then I realized that I need to do by myself. So, but before starting myself, um, what my realization was to I need to work on a good leadership under good leadership to learn many management aspect of what I want to do. So for 10-15 years I worked under others, and I've learned so many things. So I just want to minimize my mistakes. Initially I've started by myself, then later on in between the mistakes or the lesson learned that I have with me, that was there, and then I was thinking of doing something on my own. But I was from the development sector background. I did my masters in development studies. So the only thing that I was aware or get connected or know about was the development sector. But to some extent I was not happy with whatever I'm doing with the development sectors. And the funding that I used to get from was from the development organization or the donor agency. The money that comes to donor agencies was from the private sector, and everything. If you look after all those, the circle and the cycle of the economy, then the money that we need for any one of us need comes from the tax money, or the anything is from the private sector that's created, right? So the jobs they created. So I realized that the entrepreneurship is the only means. If I really want to make big impact to the country, entrepreneurship is the means to do that. So that's how I was struggling on different models. And but later on, after earthquake, I've started my company. Before that also I was a partner of Dodge company, and but then I've started one company in 2015. Yeah, that's my short journey.
No, it's interesting. I mean, Niraj, you asked what my next question was going to be, so I'm going to ask it to Aayushi, which is, you said it yourself. There were already waste management companies in Nepal. Why did you feel the need to start your own? And what drives you to be that kind of leader in the field?
Okay, I'll be very honest here, Carl.
Please.
I was not really passionate about waste. I was not really passionate about the entrepreneurship. I mean, the ecosystem of waste, as you call it. But what I was really passionate about was business models. I was passionate about making that sustainable, larger impact all in all. So for me, waste management came up as an opportunity to try out a business model that I had really wanted to try out during the several jobs that I changed. I was always thinking about this business model. So the business model was around including these group of 13,000 waste entrepreneurs who we so easily dismissed for the past 50-60 years. Like I mentioned, we easily dismiss them as bhaiyas or dhotis or madesis or khalisisi walas, the derogatory terms. But what really fascinated me was, how could they survive the past 50-60 years, given all the recessions and all the changes, the earthquakes and all the natural calamities, but their business was never affected? So who are these people? What are they doing? And what can the modern entrepreneurship model learn from this group of entrepreneurs was really what I was passionate about. So luckily, the waste management business came up to me through that. So for me, like I said, so as I started researching on it, I found a lot of, especially a lot of nonprofits that were working in this area. And for me, that was one of the trigger points. I wanted a sustainable revenue model for the waste management industry. So as I started my research, I nowhere found this group of 13,000 waste entrepreneurs involved in any of the business models. So for me, that was the most intriguing part. And I remember, so I just talked to one of them. So he was my first Khalisisi friend, Ram Sagar. He was just passing through my house, and on a random day, I just called him over and I started talking to him. And I figured about his, we talked about his business and what are his problems and his challenges. And then I told him, all right, I have a business idea. We can work together and create a revolution in the space industry and take it digital. And he just laughed at my face. So he said, no, this is never going to happen. People are never going to call me up and request me to come in times, especially when people kick me out of their homes. Right. So that was the starting point, actually. But after a month of prototyping, we figured that, okay, this business can create value, because he ended up earning 7,000 to 8,000 more than what he was earning before. So we figured, okay, this platform does provide value to the people that we intend to, that is the Khalisisi friends, the waste entrepreneurs, right? So that was actually the starting point for me. So it wasn't really driven by this passion for waste management per se, but it was driven by the passion to create a business model to, in a way, revolutionize a very traditional way of doing things and take it more digital and more future forward.
Awesome. So you guys have both hinted around this by telling your own story, but I'm curious that, the PPSP participants that you're talking with today, they're all subject matter experts and active youth leaders in their communities. That's why they were selected for this program. So they have some basic ingredients for success. My question for you is, what's the next step? Like, what ingredients does an entrepreneurship need in order to find success?
It's for me, yeah.
Sure, Niraj, you can go, and then we'll go with Aayushi.
For me, the purpose, the purpose that, as Aayushi rightly mentioned, it's all about sector is the only the thing, cost cutting sectors or anything that you can pick on, right? But your purpose for your life, what you want to do, why you want to do is much more important than anything else, So purpose, when the purpose is clear, then you can decide on where, what you can do and how you can do it, So for most of us, while starting our entrepreneurial journey, you always get confused about that. You get, most of the time we get infatuated by others, or the other things they are doing. Wow, why she's doing such a great thing, now I want to copy her, But the struggle that she's doing, we never try to understand. The high and low parts, we never try to understand. We just wanted to copy them, right? So for us, just trying to think why we want to do, what is the purpose, So for me, the clear, my background, my schooling and everything, like, the way, my skills, my knowledge, my qualification, that always says me that, from the very beginning, I have instead of making, the money needs to be there. Money always plays a great role, but the purpose are always greater for me. For me, profit is only to means my purpose. If I run the NGO, probably I have to be, asking others to others money to make my purpose fulfilled, my dream accomplished. But for in the entrepreneurial journey, you have your own revenue model, you make a profit, you make money, and you work towards achieving your dream, your purpose, your why factors. So entrepreneurial journey, that's much more important. That's the primary thing. We should not be infatuated by others' work, or we should learn from others, definitely, but we should not be trying to copy. So that's the difference between entrepreneurs and the business person. So that's how we, as an entrepreneur, we just want to innovate something. We just want to bring something, offer new to the society, solve the problem of the society, on a unique manner, or to, as Aayushi is rightly mentioned, mentioning that the technology factors or whatever, the paradigm shift in the management philosophy or whatever it is like that. So that the experimentations is much more higher. The risk factor is much more higher in the entrepreneurship sector rather than in business, that I say it, right? So for me, the business person and the entrepreneurship are two different ballgames, but that complements each other and goes together. But I'm not saying here that one is good than other, but there's a huge differentiations between the entrepreneurs and the businessmen. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, the mindset should be very clear. You need to be very persistent. The things will not go as you want to do, as you want to go. There's lots of hurdles, lots of pains around you. People will seriously discard you at the initial stage, because this will not work. That the only sentence that we hear from the other people will, that the new business model that we talk about, people will say it will not work. It will not work. That's how the family support will not be there at the initial stage, because it's a lot of proven model, right? So that is how the entrepreneurship journey would be like. So I'm not sure if I've answered your question rightly or not, but this
Oh,
I just yeah.
You absolutely have answered it. I mean, what I heard from you is like innovation is key, and also be persistent. You're going to hear no sometimes, but if you continue to believe in your own belief more than the profit, then you'll find success.
It's like entrepreneurship is yeah, for me, if a person is highly spiritual, or he or she is so practiced in doing meditation in any noise, he or she can meditate in any. If we are conducting meeting over here, that person can do meditations by his or on one way. The strength, the power that he or she has. Same as in entrepreneurship as well. All the noises will be around, but you have to go along with all those noises. So you should not be. You should be very focused on what your third eye. While you're doing meditation, you need to focus on third eye. Entrepreneurship also focusing on your third eye. That's your why.
Thanks. So Aayushi, I'm going to ask you the same question. What do you think are the ingredients of a good entrepreneur?
Still trying to figure that one out. But my own experience, I think entrepreneurship is extremely subjective, in the sense that you cannot completely generalize it. Also depends on the person, the purpose, like Niraj rightly said, what really drove you into to entrepreneurship. So that's that. But from my own personal experience, I think as an entrepreneur, in the initial stages, yes, you wear all the hats and you do you take care of all the departments of the company, but team is extremely important. So as an entrepreneur, it is very essential that you are able to form a team around you that can fulfill the roles that you as an individual cannot. So in my case, I'm not a tech person, but we are a tech company, right? So for me, it was very important that I had a tech person in my team, and somebody who could take care of the operations. So building a team, knowing what your limitations are, what your strengths are, is important, and building a team that can support you with that is important, first of all. And second is to always make sure that your company is funded, because I've been through phases where we have run out of money, and it was extremely stressful time. So you got to make sure as an entrepreneur that you are funded, and that you can pursue what you want to. And third and most important is to visualize, to have a vision, because in a team, in a startup, there's so many things. You're always busy. The team is always inundated, flooded by 1,000 problems. And so how do you put the team together? How do you make sure that everybody's aligned and doing what is best for the company? Is always to have a vision. And who and the entrepreneur is the leader is that person who can, bring all of them together and bind them into that vision. So being able to uh, have a vision and communicate that, and always work on long-term strategies, because so many times you get so caught up in short-term goals and micromanaging that you actually forget about the long-term strategies and the vision that you set for the company. So for the entrepreneur, it's important you build a team, and you make sure that you have capital, you always are funded, and to communicate that vision, become the PR for the company, and within the company and outside the company. I think these three things are the most important from my personal experience.
So you've already answered one of the questions that came up at the top, which is like, what makes or how do you create a team, and how do you manage that team? I guess, can we dig a little deeper into that idea, and how do you manage, like, in a day-to-day way? Like, I mean, I hear you saying you think long-term, but the reality is a company runs day-to-day. So how do you do that while, like, keeping your eye on the long picture, but pay attention to the details? How do you communicate those without becoming overwhelmed by that?
So in our case, there are many strategies, there are many tools that an entrepreneur, or even any person in any leadership position can practice. It's not just for entrepreneurs or for entrepreneurship in general. It's for any executives or leadership level positions. There are tools like, there's this one where you have this, in very simple layman terms, you have the vision, right? You have the vision, then you break it down into the 5-year plan, then you break that 5-year plan into a yearly plan, and then you break that down into quarterly plans, and then that gets more realistic. Because I understand what you're saying is, for us the vision is to build Nepal as one of the top 20 recycling nations in the world, but that's a very ambitious, that's a very audacious, that's a very big and vague goal in its own. But how do we get there? There are certain things we know, 5 things we know that we need to do to get there. And then how do we make sure we achieve those 5 things? Is maybe within a year we achieve the first goal, in the second year we achieve the second goal, and how do we get there? So you need to break down your goals and bring it down to quarters, because given the situation right now, we cannot really plan for a very long time, and we cannot be certain about future beyond maybe even 3 months, even beyond a quarter. But we need to at least have a roadmap. So, to have a roadmap and then to stick to that is very important, because so many times, especially when you're in your initial days of startup, you get so excited by everything, by every opportunity that comes in your way, that you actually deviate from the roadmap that was actually planned for you, that you actually set for the company. So it's very important for the leader, for the entrepreneur, to make sure that everybody is doing what they're supposed to do. So there are tools around that you can find all over the internet. The spreadsheet tools, where you can jot down your objectives, and then it's one of them is OKRs. If that's what we're doing at our company as a OKR, in short, is objective key results. So I don't want to get into the details of that, but you can look it up, and then you'll find that it's a very efficient tool to actually keep track of your goals and the output of what you're doing, and make sure that whatever you're doing is not going to waste. OKRs.
Oh, no, OKR. Thank you. I remember it. Niraj, a question for you. A number of the questions that have come up from our participants already have sort of outlined some of the challenges that they perceive. Money or capital, of course, but also some of the policies that are in place in Nepal. So I'm curious, like, from your perspective, particularly because you assist other startups, what are some of the challenges that you see startups face, and how do they overcome them?
It's like, for me, for entrepreneurs, they are jumping into business because they see the problem, right? They know the problem around. They know the ecosystem is not functioning so well. They know that the government is not functioning that well. They know that the whole, I'm not just talking about government or anything like that, but the whole ecosystem is not so functional in Nepal. If you want to do enterprise, you should be very much aware of that, all the facts, the reality of Nepal, So after jumping into the pond, and you should not be clear that you that there's you don't know swimming, or the pond is so deep, you should not be saying that, there's a well in the pond, or like, you should not be saying that. You should be aware that the industry, or the purpose that you are going to solve, the problem that you are going to solve, comes up with the lots of other hidden, unseen problems. That should be the mindset. That's not the easy way at all. It's not like the CA making the projections for this many years, and profitable companies. That lots of pitching comes to me, and then they say that within 6 months there will be on a break even, or within a year we'll be on a break even. That will never gonna happen. So it's a very, very, very difficult situation. So we need to understand all the challenges that we have here. Every 5 years, when I started my company, that was during the lockdown, blockade time, where India has blocked our nation, and the next after 5 years, again this pandemic, and so every time you will come up with the unseen or unplanned things. So you get ready for all those things. So the plan B, or resilient, how you become resilient. So those kind of things would be very much important, and that's there. But for me, like having the challenges you have here is to for the startups mainly is they are themselves by what I've working with the startups for last 11 years now. They're the main thing is the focus. We tend to we are so much active, we see so much effective, we are in this position, we are in that position, volunteer position, we are doing so many things, and like that, but they want to do business as a casually, or part-time thing startup. That should not be there. If you want to go, you should be in entrepreneurial journey, you should be, forget about everything for at least for 5 years. 5 years is nothing for business. So entrepreneurial journey, so you have to have that determination and focus. So in most of the things, the challenge lies between the entrepreneur themselves, I see. That's the problem there. The other factors are there, definitely family, cultural factors, the policies, all these things are there, definitely there. But the thing is, the most challenging factor that I've seen is the entrepreneur themselves. For me, this happened the same. I'm not talking about others. That has happened to me myself. I've tried so many things in my life. That's good. But I always get infatuated by what others are doing, and trying to do others what they are doing it. So that needs to be there. One thing that is there. One, and the other thing is, as Aayushi has already mentioned about it, but I will just try again. Want to highlight that as well. We don't know, as a Nepali, we are very weak on working on a team. So our partnership forms are not working, and everything is like that. The basic reason behind that is our documentation and communication skills. That what I've seen, the challenges that I have seen among the entrepreneurs themselves. Again, the that's how we should be seeing. The other thing is, definitely funds, they are difficult. Every one of us know, it's not that easy. It's not Silicon Valley or in Singapore, or even not in India, that we get angel fund, seed fund to establish our business here. So keeping all those in mind, we should be going into entrepreneurial journey, because nobody is going to give to you, $10,000 check to start your business here in Nepal. So you have to do from your saving. We call it fear. We call it family, friends, and fools, right? 3 F's. So you should be very much aware of all those things. So instead, and the other thing is skill that we need to have. The skill that we need to have, managerial skill. You might be brilliant on IT, or you are super good in your idea, but your managerial skill, that is what I faced a lot. For me, that's my experience. I'm not talking about others, but that's after having all this experience, now I was able to mentor other companies, and when I'm investing on other companies, that is the primary thing. So if they are able to build team or not, because whatever the investors in globally, the investor always say that people investor invest on people, not on idea. So we should be focusing on the people. And the challenge here is the people, the HR side. We will not get the qualified HR, the kind of qualification that we look for our startups. we'll not find those people, because if the people are there, they are highly expensive, so we can't afford them at the initial stage. So multitasking things will be so much required at the initial stage. So the one thing that we face challenges as a startup or the entrepreneur, HR is one of the major challenges that we focus that we find here in Nepal. So other things are, the government policies that I should not be discussing here. I know that everyone knows about that. The externalities are more, external factors are there, but these are the primary factors, and that's sometimes I know for being myself, I'm running my company for a couple of years, and couple of company I've failed. That's my failure experience actually. So introspect yourself, yeah.
No, it so what I'm hearing from both of you is like, not only are you leaders, but you're managers, and that a team is really important in order to like get your ideas off the ground and for you to find the success that you have, that you're not just one person. So I'm going to ask Kailash's question to you, Aayushi, which is, knowing that you rely on your team and that HR is an issue sometimes, how do you pick the people on your team? What are you looking for? And how do you continue to get them to grow within the company itself?
That's a very important question about forming teams and maintaining that team and taking them forward. For me, I always look for the drive and the ambition, because to be very honest, you'll find thousands of similar CVs and similar resumes, that are almost a copy paste of one another. But what you don't find similar can be the attitude. So attitude is the first thing that we always look for whenever we're hiring a team member, because it's not like Niraj said, it's not going to be easy. It's not like those set big corporations where as soon as you enter, you're provided with all the amenities that the big corporations provide. So that's not the case especially for startups in the initial days, at least. So having that attitude of that sense of why that person wants to work for the vision rather than the company, why are they motivated by the vision, is more important to me, to us. And once they have the right attitude, I believe they can learn anything. A basic skill set, of course, is important when it comes to technical roles, but if they have the right attitude, they can learn anything. And so which is why we focus a lot on trainings within the company. We make sure we can bring in experts from different areas that can mentor our team members and can train them in specific areas that can help reach a certain objective or a certain goal for the company and for the individual, the team. And that's how we make sure, we hire, and the most important thing is we're not afraid to make mistakes. A lot of times, especially in the beginning, I was extremely nervous about having the best of best people. Then I figured, you can always teach a person, or a person can always learn to become better, so you don't have to always be perfect. And that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned, that I've always worried about being so perfect that I missed out on so many opportunities. I was so afraid to fail. So even when it comes to hiring, I am not afraid to make mistakes anymore. If it doesn't work out, then we part ways on a very professional term. So but we make sure that we do not miss out on the right people that can take the vision forward. So, and then we invest on the people through trainings and other mentorship programs.
One of our mentors, Bamanji, just asked the question that I was going to follow up with as well, which is, you're in a unique position that you are not only one of the world's leading entrepreneurs, that you clearly have that drive that you just talked about and that ambition you have talked about, but you're also a woman in Nepali society. I'm curious, what benefits do you think that's given you? What difficulties has that brought in your own career? And what do you say to other young women who are interested in becoming Nepali entrepreneurs?
Personally, for me, that question never popped up before I started Khalisisi. I never thought of myself as a female entrepreneur or as a woman in the tech business. I just thought of myself as a problem solver, as an entrepreneur in general. I didn't really genderize, I don't know the right word, the concept. Yeah, but that's a very real question, and I was hit hard by it in the very first days of starting my company. Like I said, when I first talked to one of my first Khalisisi friends, his immediate reaction after a great big laugh was, but I mean, there are no sirs. Where are the sirs? You know, sir kahan hununcha? Where are the sirs? Where are the bosses? Where's the office? So he never really took me too seriously in the beginning. So I thought, okay, this is going to be a challenge. I never thought of myself in that light, but if the key people who I am trying to work with to revolutionize this waste industry think of me in that light, then that's going to be a huge problem. So I thought, okay, it's too late for me now to change the perception of a 50-year-old guy who, you know, who's been raised in this patriarchal sort of a traditional mindset. So I thought the best I can do is provide him value through the platform. So it's not me. So I never took it personally. So I think in retrospect, that was a good decision that I made, that I didn't take it personally. I thought to myself, okay, let's see if the platform can provide him any value. And so after a month, when he ended up earning 7,000 to 8,000 rupees more, then he started believing in the platform and then in me. So for me, it was always about the work that I was doing, the work that we as a team were doing, rather than the work that the Aayushi, the female person, the female was doing. And I think that's how people slowly started seeing. But initially, yes, it was very difficult. But I think, yes, for females, it is much more challenging than it is for males, especially if you're trying to get into an area that has predominantly been very heavily uh, run by male. So especially the waste industry, I could still date the 300 Khalisisi friends that we work with are all male. They're all men, not a single women. So for me, had I really been so discouraged by his first comment of where are the sirs, maybe I wouldn't have been able to ever get into that network of these waste entrepreneurs, this 300 men that we are working with today. So I think for women is just to be even more persistent and take it as a challenge, take it as a challenge, and not be upset by it, and just take it as a challenge. Because even personally for me, when I started, when I shared this idea with my parents first, their first reaction was, but it's a very dirty business, literally and figuratively, given all the political propaganda and whatever that there is in this industry. So, and plus it's all men. How are you going to work with them, let alone lead them, right? So that was their first initial question to me. So, but I was never discouraged by it. I kept working on, because I was focused on the platform, like I said, the business model. So once that proved itself, I think then things just got better. But I can understand it is difficult for many other women, so which is why it's very important to be mentally strong more than anything else, especially for women, and then focus on the platform and let it work for you.
Yeah, I mean, that mental strength that you talk about reminds me of what Niraj said earlier, which is be persistent. Like, I mean, at some point, I mean, I'll just say the spirit from both of you is like, you believe in what you do and you're going to do it. And that kind of spirit is just indomitable. Like you called yourself earlier a problem solver. I think that it shows with both of your answers. Niraj, I'm going to turn the question a little bit, which is, you're in a unique situation because you work with PUM Netherlands. And my understanding of PUM Netherlands is they bring senior experts in, or foreign experts in, to help Nepali startups or businesses become more expert at what they do. I'm curious, what do these foreign experts, they have a unique angle on Nepali businesses. What do they see as the strengths and the weaknesses of Nepali businesses that they work with?
So, first, when I take them to visit to many companies, the first thing most of the experts is this is the business that my grandfather used to do. The structure or the the management or the documentations or whatever the factory situation, the machineries that we are using is very, very, very old. And then but the good thing that they always keep on saying, despite of all these situations, the political, everything, the fight that the entrepreneurs are doing here in Nepal, despite of the use a heavy interest from the bank to bank loan, and if whatever it is, the labor issues or whatever it is, the people are struggling and they're always positive, and they want to, people that we have been coaching or from my POM experts, that they're all positive, how they want to solve the problems, and they want to learn. The coachability is really very high amongst us, the entrepreneurs, they are really eager to learn. And those part has been the amazing part for me, the working with beautiful entrepreneurs, like I've been, so now, that almost with 100 entrepreneurs I've served with the POM expert now, even with some minimum funds, and the expertise that I've been able to bring has helped me a lot to learn about the Nepali companies, and from the experts views, that the minimum things that we can do, that we have not been able to do because we don't have proper mentorship and the coaching framework. That is what their thing as well. So so we are at this point of time at the companies Nepal, they see the huge possibilities here in Nepal. The entrepreneurs now, they have access to informations, networks, and everything globally as well. So in that part, we should be very positive and going with our dream, and the expertise that is lacking, that can be definitely can be fulfilled from my PUM company, PUM network of experts. So if I have to talk about we are working in 35 different countries, and we have 1,700 senior professionals, like above 60 years, who are retired actually in many of the cases. Now they want to give back to society, and they want to do voluntary work for Nepali companies. That's a huge aspect, that the opportunity that we get for that, Nepali companies. And that's where they see the very, despite of having the very traditional approach of doing business, but our energy is there, we are positive, always smiling, and those they like Nepal very much. And the upcoming generation, the startups, they are fond of that. The companies, the startups, when they see those companies, they are really very excited. So that's how, like we have been working. For me, being as Antarprerana, my company, Antarprerana, by the word, is the origin of the word entrepreneur. It's a Sanskrit word. On the word entrepreneur word has been derived from the Sanskrit word Antarprerana. That's inner motivation. When you don't have inner motivations and inner aspirations, zeal, you will not accomplish anything. So that's there. So that's how we are trying to bring. First, the challenges that the startups, major startups that we see, we want to solve their problems. We want to help them, and that's our incubation program. We have been running in different parts of Nepal now, in 6 different districts of Nepal, with chamber, municipality, and colleges. We have been running there, that thing. And the another thing that we have been doing is the investment. And the other thing, investment. So by myself, I've invested in a couple of startups, almost 10 companies I've already invested. I've failed a lot, I've lost my money, so that's no problem. But I've learned a lot. And then the other third eye is my international linkage. That the PUM is the third eye of my company, where I bring international the exposures that we don't have, the technology that we don't have, we get from the PUM. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm going to put you both on.
And then
I'm sorry.
So that's how we've been working with the PUM assistance and the support. Currently, I'm working with Bhutan government, helping them to set up their startup center there. So Bhutan government, I'm working with that 30 entrepreneurs, and that's how the complementing the perm is always backing up me, and that's how I'm going to that's how I'm crossing my borders now. Just not staying Kathmandu, going outside Kathmandu and even internationally. That's how I'm trying to do.
Wow. I'm going to put you both on the spot, and I'm going to ask you to identify one. And this question comes from Aloj. One mistake that you made during your business that if you wish you could not have done, what would it be?
The mistake that I've done is started my own company. So, then every day is a mistake. Then every day is a mistake. First mistake that I did was to establish my company. Then every day I'm doing mistakes. So thousands of mistakes. I can't. I think I can write a book in my mistakes. So the mistake that initially I did, matching, finding the right co-founder. That was the biggest mistake that I did before. The co-founder. Then as Aayushi told, the backup of funds, my mistake. Team was biggest mistake. Documentation, biggest mistake. Never concentrated on documentation. Never know my customer. Biggest mistake. I can, the session will be on mistakes only, right?
Yeah, what I'm hearing from you is that doing business is making mistakes, which is heartwarming because we all know as human beings.
In Nepal, if you want to be entrepreneur, you are the fullest person,
How about you, Aayushi?
For me, the biggest, ditto to whatever he just said, but the biggest was to that I didn't start early enough. I started late. I sat on my idea of Khalisisi for almost 6 to 8 months before I started. I don't know what I was waiting on, but just the fact that I started late. I wish I could have started earlier.
Okay. So one of the focuses of PPSP is at the end, we will be selecting a number of people who will serve as policy advisors for members of parliament in Gandaki province. You guys are business leaders, you're entrepreneurs. If you were in a place where you got to give advice to an MP about how to improve or change the entrepreneurial culture in Nepal, what would you give them? What would you say?
So for me, as we're talking about government now, we need to make them understand, the policymakers and the people are in the position that, in every part of the world, no matter where you are, there's nothing like, policy coming first, the innovations will come first. Innovations, disruptions will come first. Which room, in the dark room, people are planning for the disruptive idea. From which the store or garage, people are planning for the disruptions, trying to solve problems of the society. That is not in your mind or my mind or any policymaker's mind. So we need to be very receptive on the idea, innovations. We should not, in Nepal we face a lot. Our startups face a lot because we have a 30, 40, 50 years world policies, regulations, laws, and based on that laws, our government wants our entrepreneur to function. Current 21st century entrepreneurs want to function. That will never happen. So our entrepreneurs will go disruptive. Our startup will go disruptive. They want great ideas. They will be working on the ideas nobody have ever before thought about. No businessman have done before, right? So this group should, I think, if were among them, I'll talk with MPs. Be open about, policy always comes later. Innovation comes first. Let's be open for innovation. Let's foster entrepreneurship. Let's foster startups here.
All right, Aayushi?
I think it is to do around. Just like how I think when about running a company is just to surround themselves with people who have the domain expertise. Because so many times we've faced a similar problem where, you know, we go to a certain authority and he or she has no clue about the business we're running in, the technology that we're dealing with, and then it becomes so easy for them to dismiss the idea as a whole. So just to have that good team around them is very important for them to, because it's a very dynamic world that we're living in, and technology is changing at a very rapid pace. So to have that open mind, like Niraj said, is very important, and to have a continuous stakeholder dialogue uh, is very important, because so many times it's like a ticking time bomb. You know, you never know what new policy is going to be thrown your way, and you know, it's the end of your business, your vision, your dream. So to have that discussion with relevant stakeholders in in a you know in good periods of time is very important, and to be updated with what's happening around the world, because technology and entrepreneurship is uh, that one medium that can really connect us to the rest of the world, you know, that is in many ways borderless. We can sit here and be doing business with people from the other part of the world. So that is what technology allows us to do. You know, the traditional problem of rich versus poor, the rich and poor divide no longer exists. It's about the digital divide now. You know, whether or not you have the access to technology is what will really determine your in a way your I would say access to so many other things. So uh, to bridge that digital divide, I think should be the priority of the MPs all across Nepal. And so to design a policy that allows people to be more digitally uh, accessible, to have more access to digital tools that are out there is very important. And as we can see in the given situation as well, students, can you imagine the plight of students who are outside Kathmandu and are in no position to gain online education? You know, so that's just one example. So how do leaders really focus on bridging this digital divide? I think is the fundamental issue that can really solve many other issues, not just for entrepreneurship, but for so many other fields.
So you both have reinforced this idea a number of times that you don't do it alone. You have a team, you have people around you. I'm also, you know, the PPSP participants are all young people who are leaders, but all of us at some point need support networks, or we need people who inspire us and motivate us to do more. So I'm going to start with you, Aayushi, and ask, like, who are those people? What are or the infrastructures that are out there that have given you the support that you need to find the success you've had?
No, I think you're very kind with your words. I don't think we're at that point of stage where we want to be and be called successful as of yet. But throughout, for me personally, I've been very lucky. I've lucked out with my husband, you know, who's an entrepreneur himself, and he's kind of in his own way changed the face of the e-commerce industry in Nepal. So I take great inspiration from that every single day. And the other great source of inspiration for me has always been my Khalisisi friends. You know, they're a group of extremely hardworking, extremely intelligent people, actually. Once you get to know them and once you do business with them, you get to know that you get to learn a lot about running your own business. And the way they work hard is, you know, it's of some other level. So that really that always keeps me on my toes, and I think that's what it is. And also, like you rightly mentioned, Carl, for so many of us in Nepal, you know, we don't hear much about people who are doing such great work, but we don't know of them. So we're never really inspired in so many ways, because there might be some people who are doing incredible in terms of just maybe feeding the street animals or stray animals, but we never know about them. So we never develop this passion for doing something, or a social, a giving back, that kind of passion in ourselves. So I think it's important to have role models, and just to get inspired on different things from different people. For example, from my husband, I get inspired about working hard and being a little more not so soft when it comes to business. And from our Khalisisi friends, I take this inspiration of always being extremely I would say on point with operations. So you can take different inspiration from different people. So that's what I do.
Thanks. Niraj, do you want to answer that question?
Yeah, so like the supporting system, that the ecosystem that we talk about is, is in Nepal is a very on an early stage. The institutional setup system has not been set up so well so far, but there are a couple of initiatives that has been taking place. So as I also seriously I agree with Aayushi. For me, my whatever the things that I'm doing just because of my family, the support that I'm getting from my family, they believed on me, and and my investor is my wife, so that's my wife has been the pillar of whatever I'm doing right now, and my family, they never talked about money, and so that's how I always that's how it works, so being from the middle class family, and with a very average student, not the extraordinary student or outliers, we just need to struggle a lot in that particular time. You just need some family support at the first. The later part is the friends. You need to have a good bunch of friends who can really critical about your work, and they motivates them to around, not just with the party or partying or going around, right? Just give you the feedbacks on that part. The other thing that the important part is the mentor. So for me, that I was able to have good mentors from my very early years, right mentors coaching me, very difficult mentors, criticizing me all the time, making me work really very hard, making me feel that I'm not good, I need to work really very hard, and giving me some ways, giving me the networks, and all those things, mentors. So those are the individual aspects. But the institutional aspects here now, in the ecosystem, so there are now incubators, there are, for incubators, there are some kind of seed funds, angel investment opportunities are there in Nepal, and mentorship, institutional mentorship facilities are coming slowly, gradually, and then I've run the first accelerator program in 2014 here in Nepal. Business Accelerator program is coming and supporting you and providing you the private equity funds, and there are some impact investors investing in the companies, so the supporting systems are slowly, gradually coming, but we need to work on that, having the correlations, coexistence part is still needs to be developed, that the pipelines one generates or the support system that one generates needs to be, support the continued on the and taken care by others at the next step. That needs to be there. Even government is trying to do something, in 2018, I guess I was in the committee, 2017-18, I was in the committee of the startup, found by the Ministry of Industry, where we drafted the startup policy, so that kind of things, bit and pieces are going, but we need to make it more organized and more functional. That's there, because there's a learning phase. For instance, just if I have to say, in the Nepal entrepreneurial ecosystem, we in the year 2010, we just started talking about entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship. In 2014, the first business accelerator came in Nepal for the first time, and then we started talking about startups, so that means, we are very early stage. So, but there are so many other institutions are coming, lots of ecosystem actors are coming, and at different stages, they are supporting the entrepreneurs. So we need to able to find those institutions, we should not be, definitely entrepreneurs, they need to do by themselves, whoever there is around or not, they need to do by themselves. But even the small things they can get help of, they can explore and go, go towards those institutions and ask for help. We need help at this point of time. Even for me, everyone, we will desperate. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that, Niraj. And I couldn't agree with you more that like nobody acts alone, like period. It's thank you both for really sharing everything today.
One thing that I want to add, sorry.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, is to we can't make too expensive mistakes now. We need to learn from other mistakes and learn from others. So we should not be reinventing the wheels for the mistakes. So we come to me, I'll share my mistakes, and then you should learn from my mistakes as well. That's how it should work, right? So at this point of time, let's not waste making more mistakes. Whatever we did, right? So yeah. That's why I should believe in mentorship, and that's why I'm mentoring lots of startups here. Awesome. Here in Nepal and Bhutan here.
Well, I know the participants know this, but Prakriti is a pretty strict timekeeper, so our time, unfortunately, is up for the day. But I want to thank you both, Niraj and Aayushi, for it's inspirational to hear people who are really doing it and doing it well. Also, it's really humbling to hear you talk about your sort of mistakes along the way and the ways that you think about it. So I'll just say takeaways that I've heard are things like innovation, creativity, problem solving, teamwork, and diligence. Like these are all really important ideas that I know that are going to resonate with our PPS participants. So thanks again for sharing your enthusiasm and your expertise. I hope that you also have seen the many questions that you got today, that we couldn't get to all of them, but you inspired this young group of people. So I'm going to just do one last thing, Prakriti, and that is, if you agree that both Niraj and Aayushi were great, please give them a huge thumbs up on the platform.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Really, you're popular, I can tell. All right, I'm done for my role. It's over to you, Prakriti.
Yeah, please follow my page. So I'm putting my chat over here. So that's how you can support me, and give me a critical comments on what we have been doing. So thank you so much for having me here. It was a pleasure joining with Aayushi. Carl, you are wonderful moderator. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Carl Rogers, for being such an amazing moderator. Yeah, before taking a photo shoot, I would like to take a moment to say a little bit about Niraj and Aayushi. Yeah, Niraj rightly highlighted on the thing about third eye, and it was really heart-touching when he created the ecosystem and correlate all the investment approach, teamwork and all. And another thing I really wanted to say about Aayushi, just it is out of the schedule that I'm getting floor to talk about the previous speakers, but about Aayushi's Khalisisi, I was actually working on a prototype on a cycling industry in Nepal, and we were about to launch a docking cycling system in Nepal that is still a secret. But seeing Aayushi's business on Khalisisi, that is based on the cycling entrepreneurs. So we are really searching for the existing industry companies who work on the cycling entrepreneurs. And Khalisisi was like top of the world, I should say, not just in Nepal, how they promote the environment, how they promote the cycling industry. Yes, Aayushi, if I said rightly, if I missed anything, you have still floor to share, but it was really inspiring. You inspired a lot to me, especially personally, and to entire the family of PPSP, your work, and yes, Niraj, of course. So yes, give me a moment. Yeah, I would like to take a photo until a kid gets away. So smile, please turn on your video. I'd like to take a photo. And as Carl rightly said, if you enjoyed the session, please use the emojis there. I think heart speaks more than thumbs up and clap. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is it. And another one. 1, 2, 3. And the another one. Okay, now we're almost in the end of the day 5, and as Carl mentioned about the timekeeper, I don't want to go over the time. So before that, I would like to request all the participants to stretch a little bit to get a warm up for the closing. Yes, the stretch I taught you yesterday, or you're expert on yourself. And also for the Aayushis and Nirajis, please write your takeaway message that is displayed on the screen. And we'll come back in 3 minutes for the closing. Thank you, Aayushi. Thank you, Niraj. And thank you again a lot to the car for such a interesting session you moderated over.
Thank you, Prakriti. You sold me
Thank
very
you so
well.
much. I'm leaving now. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you so much.
One thing that I just want to quickly share, maybe you can Prakriti share with the participants later, is that they can always feel free to reach out to me at my email address. I think you already have that. And one book or one movie that I'd want every one to watch and read is this movie called The Founder. It's about McDonald's. And the other is this book, The Hard Thing About Hard Things. So maybe it can help anyone. So yeah. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Bye.